Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the Virtual Coffee. As usual, we've got an amazing lineup of guests on the show today. We've got people from different countries. We've got our agents from India, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, and Africa. And of course, we've got the lovely Eszter from James Cook University, Brisbane, who is going to talk about work integrated learning. So my very first guest on the show today is Eszter from James Cook University, Brisbane. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
Thank you for the invitation to this beautiful, multicultural, international, fabulous coffee break we've got in the afternoon ahead of us. It's delightful to be here with you. Thank you.
Awesome. And how's the weather in Brisbane? As always, is it nice and pleasant?
Oh, yes, please. This is one of our marketing edge here. Sunny state, we've got sunshine all the time. If we've got a little bit of rain, we are happy because, oh, finally it's raining. Oh, here comes the sun again. That's it. This is how
Wow.
we roll. Beautiful.
Awesome. Fantastic.
25 degrees.
That's
Delicious.
comfortable. Right. So as you know, we've got guests from Bhutan, Myanmar, India, Nepal, and Africa. And of course, I'm going to get them on board on the screen in a few minutes. But, as you know, this show is, of course, all about work integrated learning, how students really get the advantage in real life. So for starters, can you briefly outline what really is work integrated learning? Like our future students have no idea, except for what it sounds, makes sense. But can you just give some brief, especially for our future students?
Oh, my pleasure, of course. I feel like I'm sitting in an exam room kind of setting. Oh, yeah, here comes a question, and now I have to answer. And that's about it. We do a lot of these kind of tests in the classroom, right? We do writing, oral kind of examinations, presentations. We study a lot together with our students. Heaps of knowledge, heaps of skills that we are taking in. But there comes a moment in the degree when you need to let that out and then put it on a tray and show this is what I know. And there comes a moment when you put it out on a tray and you show that to prospective employers. Hey, this is what I've learned and I'm ready to use it. Now, to get to that point, we need to do something, and that is called work integrated learning, or I should say learning integrated work. Both are correct terminologies, I think. Essentially,
Right.
it's about doing the things that you learned, really trying to make the connection between what you studied and what you are going to be doing at the workplace. And finally, those two are going to be kissing and being very happy, nice couple living together, right? That's the whole idea. So work integrated learning can take many different forms in different institutions. It could take a form of an internship, and it's very formal, right? You have all your supervisors, people helping you. You are going to go out to a host organization, and you are going to be doing your best to impress everyone there, and also to practice everything that you studied in your classrooms and in your textbooks and in life altogether. And then it could take a little bit less formal of different placements, either paid or unpaid. Please get used to the idea that you can do a lot of unpaid jobs while you are studying, because you are essentially learning, okay? Sorry, I have to tell you the bad news, okay? But
Right.
that's reality. We are investing in our lives, in our progression, in our career. So that's part of the game. Sometimes we have to work for free, and that's totally okay, because we are getting a lot. We are getting the exposure, we are getting the help, the assistance from our host organizers, as well as the lecturers. And we are building our network, and that's a very important thing that you cannot really put a dollar value on. It's really, really valuable. It could take forms of
Right.
attending guest lectures, attending guest presentations, going out to different organizations, attending meetings there, going out on field trips, doing presentations on your field trips. So it has a lot of different formats attached to how we practice work integrated learning. But essentially, what it is really about is that trying to marry your theory with practice. And then we try to give the best of all of us, all our staff members, not just work integrated learning staff members, but even the lecturers, trying to do their best for you to
Right.
get that concept early on in your degree and then you can build up on that and become a very confident and capable employee of the future.
Right. Fantastic. So I've been asked by a lot of students, internship, graduate placement, and work integrated learning. So what's the real difference, would you say, within, between an internship and work integrated learning? Or is there any difference?
So work integrated learning, very good question, thank you, Shrikant, is an umbrella term for all of these different placements, internships, activities, exercises, trips, meetings, anything that we can do in order for our students to enhance their employability. In other words, to become more employable, to become more competitive on the job market, and also to learn what it takes to put all that knowledge that you've gathered all throughout the years into practice. So when that
Right.
happens, we are all very happy, hey? That is the
Right.
ultimate purpose of you doing a degree. But obviously we need to get there throughout a beautiful progression, and then we need to kind of tick off a few boxes. And internship can be one of those boxes. And I'm really grateful that you asked that question, Shrikant, because I always try to encourage students to take on the opportunity to go for an internship. It is
Right.
so invaluable to have kind of an employment, a form of employment while you are doing your degree. If you are listening, please take this message with you and please try to seize the opportunity of going for an internship, because just imagine you've got hundreds of thousands of students graduating with you. You asked about graduates, right, Shrikant? And
That's right.
honestly, the employers have so many applications to select from. Who do you think they are going to be choosing from? The ones who had a zero work experience, just having the degree, or the ones who are having the degree, beautiful GPA, and they do have work experience? I guess you know the response, right? So obviously those of you who have the work experience would be so much more competitive, and you might end up in the yes pool while the others are going to end up in the no pool. That's reality. I'm sorry to say that. I work a lot with employers because of my different projects, and I always ask them, hey, how do you do about this? No. We don't want anyone without a minute of work experience, even if it was just volunteering, working for cleaning a hospital, or putting labels on envelopes. That's fine. At least they show that they want to do something in their lives, and that's what they are really, really wanting to see in their fresh graduates, right? So internship is a very important opportunity, but you can
Right.
choose whether you want to take it on as part of your work integrated learning activities.
Right. Excellent. Thank you for those inputs, of course. And you actually raised a very important point where you said do not expect that you get paid for your projects or your internship. And that's one of the things that a lot of students really think, that they will get paid for their internship or they get paid for the projects. They fail to, they forget that they're a student, they still haven't got the degree. And I'm going to put that question to some of our guests. But at this point, what I'd do is I'd call our first guest on the show. And of course, I'll get Sharing. I'm still struggling to pronounce your name right, but in next 3 seconds, we've got our guest from Bhutan. Sharing, how are you today? And welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Mr. Shrikant. I'm good, and I'm very happy to be on the show today. It's
Excellent,
lovely to
excellent, and
meet many people from different
fantastic.
countries.
We're pleased to have you. We're pleased to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Before we even get started, trust me, this is a question which a lot of our viewers are, wanting to get an answer on. And this goes about the gross national happiness index in Bhutan. And most countries, if not all, they talk about GDP and how the country is doing is measured on the GDP. But here is the gross national happiness index in Bhutan, which the government, which the people, I'm led to believe that that's more important than the GDP. Really would like to know, what is this gross national
Genie.
happiness index and how does it work?
Okay. Uh, I was expecting this question because whenever I travel, whenever I meet people from different countries, it's usually a frequently asked question to us about the GNH. And personally, I'm not really an expert, but I did a unit on a GNH it's also a part of a MBA curriculum of University of Canberra. GNH is one of the main unit. So I did have the opportunity to go through in detail. So I'll be happy to share whatever I know about the GNH. Formally, the GNH, Gross National Happiness, is now a development philosophy of Bhutan. The term was actually coined by our fourth king, Jigme Singye Wangchu. And now every development, whether it's in the district level or a block in the Giwok level or at the nationally, every developments are planned according to the GNH philosophy. And when we talk about GNH, it's a gross national happiness, but it's actually the developments are based on the 4 pillars, like good governance, then preservation and conservation of culture, environment, and then socio-economic development. So all these factors are considered we actually make the plans and policies of the development of the country. These 4 pillars are again divided into 9 domains, where it actually consists of psychological well-being, education, health, living standards, and then living standards, and then also diversifying of culture and a lot more. I think
A whole bunch of things, of course. This is amazing. This is
So
no, this is fantastic. Yeah, no, absolutely fantastic. Esther, what are your thoughts? I mean, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you there, but Esther, look at this. This sounds like the most developed country in the world. I mean,
I think so.
you know, who cares about the people? Like, look at this.
Yeah, I think so. Totally. I'm with you on that. I've been doing a lot of reading on that, especially because my very big thing is emotional intelligence, and making people emotionally ready to face the challenges of the world is the biggest challenge now. It's no longer enough to just teach from textbook and teach from experience and teach from practice, but you do need to come up with a holistic individual. And I think this is absolutely fabulous, especially because, being crazy about sustainable living, sustainable development, sustainable business practices. I know that when I was doing my Bachelor of Science in Economics, that this whole thing that we were sold of that GDP has to be the main measure. Is it really sustainable? What do you need in order to be able to grow? You need more resources. Okay, is that sustainable? Are you going to have more resources? When we are studying about in economics, supply and demand and the scarcity of resources. So the whole thing is just a big controversial to me, if you ask. So even back then, I knew this is a bunch of lie. This is not okay. And when I heard of that happiness measure, I just went, hang on a minute. That's actually very smart. Because happiness is something that is going to be sustainable, because we can make it sustainable, because happiness comes from the person. Duh. And these people figured that out already. So what are we talking about here, right? Yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Shireen.
Yeah.
Okay. The GNH from
awesome. Keep going.
I was just trying to say, like, we have the 9 domains. 9 domains were further divided into indexes. For example, the living standards and the educations. In living standards, people also measure GNH through as simple and basic as whether the community or the household have a water supply and access to a proper toilet. So this is how we actually debate, and we actually say that GNH is measurable. And the government actually had a survey in 2015, and then we were able to measure the GNH.
Awesome. So this is really great. I think I'm sure there's a lot to learn from this concept for the rest of the world. we do note that, from Bhutan, the students we get, they are mostly, they are working, they have experience, back in their home country in Bhutan, and most of the students from Bhutan are working in the government sector. So, which is again something very interesting. Vipin has been telling me all the time that most students work in the government sector. So when it, again, just want to join the dots here, when it comes to work integrated learning, or having a work component within your study, what are your thoughts, hearing about, the government? What kind of parameters do they have? Do they look for people who have experience overseas, or they have done some projects overseas? Or what's the Bhutanese government looking for? Would you share any thoughts on that?
Yes. Yeah, like you have heard from Bhutan, usually our students are from in service, like they will be working for the government or corporate for like at least I think minimum 2 to 3 years. The reason why is this is because in Bhutan, our civil service rules, or even the corporate and the private sectors, many times follow the civil service rules, usually allows the employee to go for the study with the salary, full salary, after a completion of 2 or 3 years of service. So in that way, the student actually gets financial support in form of salary from the employer, and then also when they come back, their jobs is actually protected. It's actually secure. So that's why from as soon as our students they graduate from the colleges, their first preference is to now the things are little changing, because now students even plan to go for master program before they actually sit for the Royal Civil Service examinations or the corporate job interviews. But till now, the top priority for many of the graduates is to sit for the civil service examinations or the corporate job interviews, because then all the students, they know that they can actually go to pursue their masters with the salary and paid study leave from the employer. So and then also the other thing that we observe is the people who actually goes for studies after working for a few years seems to gain more experience and knowledge from abroad than those who actually goes right after the education. So I think even I think maybe you all might have observed also. I think even coming to the successfully completion of the course, I think the people who were already in job actually seems to be doing better than those who actually goes right after their graduation. And then
Right.
yes, and then Australia is actually a very popular study destinations, and it's highly acknowledged, and the Bhutanese government and also the people usually like to study in Australia, because at currently also in many of the important positions here in Bhutan, many of the people are alumni of Australian education system. For instance, like even our prime minister, and then the foreign minister today, they are also all alumni from Australia. I think both of them, they
Fantastic.
did their masters from yes, University of Canberra. We also have a person leading that.
I'm gonna
He's
have to
also one of
edit
the.
that part now. Now you just named a
Okay.
university. No, I'm just kidding. Keep
No,
going.
I'm about to say
No, we are
there's in a.
broad-minded. It's okay. That's fine.
Yes. No, we do have a very good alumni from JCUB as well. For
Oh,
instance,
thank
the
you.
senior coordinator, the official in the Tourism Council of Bhutan, Mr. Damchurinzin, was an alumni of JCUB. And then got, I think almost all senior positions were an alumni of Australia, and then they do very well. So that's why our young students, the aspiring students, they actually prefer to go to Australia. Like we are never be able to promote other countries like UK and all. I know UK and
Right.
all are the top destination for India and Bangladesh and all, but in Bhutan
Right.
we did try, but Australia always remains in top.
Awesome. All right. That's good. That's comforting at the end. So stay in the show, Sering. What we're gonna do is we're gonna
Okay, sir.
let you ask questions. We're gonna keep moving, but do stay in the show. I'll put you backstage in 1 second. I'm gonna get our representative from Africa as well, and that's Fola. Fola, I can see you. Fola, here you are in 3 seconds on the screen. Welcome to
Hi.
the virtual coffee show. Fola, how are you today?
Good, thanks, Shrikant. Thanks for inviting me. It's a privilege to be here today.
It's a pleasure. And you said you're in Brisbane at the moment?
Yes, I'm currently in Brisbane, working virtually with 9 hours behind with my clients and staff in Lagos, Nigeria.
Oh, okay.
That's not an
I,
easy
I
time
was,
difference. Oh
it is
goodness,
not.
Paula.
It is not. And I was just
Hmm.
going to say, lucky you, but I'm going to withdraw that now already.
No. I work late hours and then, yeah, I tend to sleep very late.
Right. Awesome.
Hmm.
So, with Africa, of course, we've been, getting many students from Africa as well. And a large number of students have done well. We had some fantastic students actually, do a nice little video for us, a testimonial video as well for us, which is all great. But again, when it comes to, employment, work integrated, we've got mixed feedback from different countries. Some countries it has been crucial that you have work experience. In some countries, students have said it's fine if you don't have any, and a fresh graduate, and a fresh graduate also gets a job quickly.
Hmm.
But how's the situation in Africa? And of course, why we're asking is because we are one of the reasons we're meeting on this show is to understand, are there any areas for improvement for us? Are there any new initiatives we need to take? Keeping in mind all different countries. So maybe some feedback on that, Fola, as to how employment
Okay.
sector really works.
All right. Thank you for that. It's a very good question. And I also share my own personal experience with studying in Nigeria and all that in this scenario as well. To start with, I studied electrical engineering and I had the opportunity of doing an internship during my study program. And when I was doing my internship, it gave me an opportunity to work in a particular engineering firm. I had students association registration in Nigeria. So by the time I graduated, there's a program we have in Nigeria which is called the National Youth Service Corps. It is compulsory for all graduates in Nigeria to undertake that program because it's a program in which they serve the country. The government will pay them some stipend. If the student or the graduate is lucky, the company where they're doing the graduate program may pay them some money as well. So most people that work in such places after they graduate get the opportunity to be absorbed into the system. So in the long run, if you get to do internship, if you're an engineering student, if your course you're doing has a work-related learning program involved, it is great. If you don't get that, let's take for instance, you're studying a course that doesn't have an internship program, then you now graduate. You also get 1 year in which you're going to be serving the government. And by serving the government, may be lucky to be posted to a company that's related to your course of study. And in most cases, a lot of people get absorbed into the system. So it gives them heads up. And if they don't even get the opportunity of getting absorbed, the fact that they've got on their CV is not just somebody, a fresh graduate with no experience, is very important. So I was lucky I had that experience. So when I was going to apply for a job when I graduated, I just went back to the company where I did my internship. I have a good track record there, and it was easier for me to get a job.
That's good. That sounds
Mm.
good. So of
Yeah.
course now you're in Brisbane at the moment,
Yes.
and a
Yes.
lot of our students from Africa would ask us about Brisbane city. They're thinking of Sydney, Melbourne, bunch of other cities and states in Australia. But as somebody who has stayed, has spent a lot of time in Brisbane, pick one thing which you like the most about Brisbane and that you would tell your, students from Africa, this is why you should come to Brisbane. Just one thing of the many things nice about Brisbane.
The sunshine.
Oh
Queensland is
yeah.
the sunshine state.
Sunshine.
Yes. Because when my family and I migrated to Australia, we had the option of staying in either New South Wales or Queensland. And we chose Queensland because of the weather. Coming from Africa, you know, we're not too used to the cold. You remember when we started this, I had my scarf on around my neck because it's winter, but I have to take it off because I just closed all the windows. But one thing you will enjoy if you're in Queensland is a sunshine state. It's nice, it's warm, it's friendly, like home. You don't need to start even like we're in winter now, but it's not a matter of you wearing the winter jacket and piling loads and loads of clothes on. So that's the one thing. But if you give me the opportunity to say one other thing, I'll say people in Queensland, they're friendly as well. So I tend to feel very much at home. I've been to all the states in Australia, but I always come back to Queensland.
Awesome.
So that's one thing, yeah.
Awesome. That's good. I couldn't agree anymore because, you know, I've also studied in Queensland, spent a lot of time there. Amazing state to be in. And of course, we're going to get back to you, Fola, in a few minutes and,
No
you know,
worries.
let you ask questions. And I will get our next guest on the show from Nepal. So, Amrit, I'm getting you on the show in a few seconds from now. And hopefully it's
Hello,
clear.
Amrit.
So welcome to the show. Amrit, how are you today?
All good, all good. Thank you, Srikant and JCB team, inviting me, to attend this coffee show. Thank you so much.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. And of course, you've been tuned into all that we've been talking about the work integrated learning and how students are, you know, advantaged by having a work component in their program. But what are your thoughts, Amrit? Firstly, I know, you know, I know Nepal nearly as good as I know India, being right next to India, and as you know, I'm from India. So Nepalese students do focus a lot on work component and they want experience. But when it comes to the programs that we deliver at JCU Brisbane, like IT, accounting, what's the key requirement for students when they're choosing a university? Is it work component? Is it employment opportunities or ranking, rating? What is it? Can you share a little bit on that bit?
Yeah, the education pattern of Nepal is quite, let's say, it's not that much work integrated, except engineering and IT. So students generally prefer those institutions where they can get practical knowledge, So for that, work integrated learning is one of the best approach to deliver the courses to them. Students generally, when they select Australia as a destination for further study, they will have, that work, part-time work in their backhead always. So they're looking for those universities where they can get those skills during their education so that they will be job ready after completion of their degree. And then when they back to their country after completion of their course, they should be able to work directly into the field. So quite good having work integrated learning for Nepalese students, and they obviously prefer those universities.
Right. Excellent. And just on that note, Esther, I'm going to get you in here as well. Where would you like to share any particular, instances or an experience with our students where they have come back with a very positive feedback saying this is what they liked, and not just about maybe Nepalese students, but any student where they said or they liked one particular aspect of the whole work integrated learning project?
Oh, with pleasure. Thank you. I very much resonate with your words, Amrit, because it's so true. And the reason why we started our Leading to Work program, an academic program on campus, to help our students develop their job readiness, as you said very well, is because there are a number of disciplines where it's part of the degree, in healthcare, education, engineering, it's part of the degree. It has to be. You need to put everything into practice. But hey, what about IT? What about business? They are all applied degrees. You need to learn how to actually put all these things into practice, right? So there you go. We started the program and we organized some field trips that students loved, and especially those students who didn't even see the sea or haven't even been to a boat trip before. And we are going on a beautiful subtropical island, so obviously it entails that we have to hop on a board, and they just loved the whole environment, and they could not see clear blue water and beautiful white sand, and how people are doing their job in that kind of very sensitive and beautiful environment. You know, it's precious to everyone, so we have to look after that. As Chering said very well, environment is our gem. We have to look after that while we are looking after our pockets of money and obviously our people. And it was beautiful and heartwarming when they always say that this is the best day of my life, that not only I get to learn and see how these things that we studied about in the classroom done in practice at a beautiful company, but I actually go on a trip and I can enjoy the ride, and this is the first time I'm on a boat, and they love the experience. I had a number of students in the first trimester who actually started their small business, and they did so well that by the time they finished their degree, they had a business that was built up. Like, how good that is. You have a degree and you
Wow.
have your own business on the side. And you know, the beauty of it is that they got all the support from the lecturers all throughout their studies. And they put their knowledge straight away into building up their own business. Or I had one student from China who brought his family's business to Brisbane, Australia. So, you know, there's a lot that you could do with this. And if we go back to the more traditional kind of format of work integrated learning and internships, Fola said very well how important internships are. And then I had 2 internships in one or two of my degrees. Both of them ended up in a job offer. It's that powerful. I don't guarantee that it always ends up in employment, but it is a very, very powerful tool to get closer to employment, at least. That's just one thing. But the other is you are going to be building, developing your network. You are going to have more and more connections that you can build up on. And I had so many students on my social media site. I use LinkedIn for my students who graduated. And they are liaising with one another, and they are working together, even though they are in different countries, but they are actually working together. There's no boundary for our students, and that's the beauty of it, that you've got so many different countries represented in our little campus, and all these students get to know each other. They work with each other during the assignments, you know, teamwork, and then they get to know each other's capabilities, and then once they graduate, they might go back to the country where they are from or go to a third country, but they might end up working together. In my personal experience, I ended up working together with one of the students I graduated with from another university here in Australia, because we both stayed in the country, and then we just found the way to cooperate beautifully. So that there's limitless opportunities if you are taking this on very smartly. So I can, again, just encourage students to seize the opportunity and get to know people and do the internships, do the placements, go out, experience everything that they possibly can, because it's really important. It's incredibly powerful. So thank you for your words, Amrit.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's true. It depends upon students as well, how
Awesome.
much they are interested and they
Absolutely.
want to be engaged into the learning, right? So it's depend on them as well. So
That's right.
we and you are there to provide that environment to learn, to
Yeah.
explore their skills towards the work, and then learning and implementing that in life. So that is great to know.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Thank you, Amrit. Yeah.
Awesome. So before I move on to the next guest, I'm going to ask Amrit one very important question, which Esther raised a few minutes ago. Amrit, if I were to ask you, what percentage of Nepali students would expect that they get paid in an internship? Let's say out of 100 students that you would recruit, how many would expect that they would like to get paid for an internship?
Yeah, many students do expect that, but as a counselor, as a professional counseling company, we always make them clear about that fact, because they are student. If they can deliver well, their chances, but still they can't expect earning while they're learning, right? So they can expect
So,
gaining skills, gaining knowledge, gaining practical exposures, developing those global networks, community, right? But while learning, because that is one of the part of the course of their graduation, so they can't expect money out of that, right? So
right.
they do expect, obviously, few percent of those students, but we do make clear about that fact that that is their learning time, that is part of study as well.
Right. Right. So when you
You're a
say
good
many,
colleague.
is that 99% students or
Not 99% student,
no?
but it's more than 60% student. Yeah, true.
More than 60%. All right, fair enough. So that's a good reference point for you, Esther, because
Thank you.
it is, I'm going to ask this question to all our guests from different parts of the world. And I'm expecting similar response, but yeah, I'll be, pleasantly surprised if that's lower than 50% that students would expect that they don't get paid during internship. So Amrit, thank you for all the lovely questions and your inputs from the Nepalese market. And I'm going to put you backstage, but yes, there will be time to ask questions. And I'm going to get our next guest from India on the screen. So here you go. Lily, well, let's add you to the screen, Lily, and Amrit, I'll put you backstage in 1
Yay.
second. Lily, welcome to the virtual coffee show. How are you today?
Hello, Lily.
I'm good. How are you? Thank you very much, Eszter and Shrikant. It's my privilege to be a part of JCUB virtual coffee show and my very interesting topic, that is work integrated learning. I still remember that JCUB was one of the few university who launched actually work integrated learning. Students were given certificates and it was so encouraging. I'm moved and thrilled to be a part of this virtual show. Thank you very much, Shrikant, for calling me in under this topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. And of course, we've chosen you because we have been getting too many questions. We've been bombarded with questions about work integrated learning from Lily. So we thought it's high time we connect you to the person in charge and the one who leads that particular project for us. So Lily, once again, welcome. And I love the banner behind you. I can't really read it that well, but it's awesome. That's all I can tell you. Oh, that looks like
Yeah.
JCU.
Yes, it is
Oh.
JCU. Come on, Shrikant. Look, here you are. Okay. And look, here
Right.
you are.
Well,
Here you go.
Cheers to that.
Lily,
Can you
people
see
are going to
it?
ask me who is the host. They're going to ask me, are you the host or because there's all people can see behind me is a whiteboard without anything on it.
Yeah. Work component was missing in your master study, Shrikant.
That's right. That's right. I need a crash course from you, Lily. Tell us something more about the Indian, about the Indian market, and especially when it comes to work integrated learning. Uh, you've been recruiting students, hundreds of students, literally, at JCU Brisbane in the last more than a decade. So you're quite
Yeah.
well versed with what we do. But do you have a feedback, or do you want to share anything from your experience of the last 10 years about our work integrated learning? Are students happy? Are they not? And be frank, look, in my previous show, I actually did a little test for our professor. And this time, I'm not going to put Esther in the spot, but again, I'm going to let you be very honest about our work integrated learning concept.
No pressure.
Thank you, Shrikant. Actually, it is one of the fantastic uh, project or component included in our courses. Now, India is a market. It is, completely, earning driven market. When you talk about work integrated learning, as a counselor, it becomes our duty to explain them each and very little facts of and importance of this work integrated learning part. It's in the brochure, it's mentioned by university, but whether that complete information is transmitted to student or not, that is very important, Shrikant, here. So there comes our role in, and we have to make them understand what is the actual importance of this 10 weeks or 16 weeks or 12 weeks work integrated learning will help, how it will help you in future. Okay, that's the only part where in 3 years study, when students are given opportunity to get into the industry, to mix with different people, talk on their critical thinking, decision taking authority, and all these things, it's blended. So it's like a chain. We
Right.
have to make them understand. If we are not doing our job properly, then it would be very difficult to explain what integrated learning means or what work program actually means. What are the key features of it? What are the importance of it? We have to explain student that how you can become ATM at the end of degree throughout the year if you have used this work integrated learning in your studies. There, I think it is our role to make them understand. They are too
Right.
young. In
Mm.
bachelors, when they are going Easter, they are just of 17 or 18. They are just school students.
Yeah.
And in India, parents have kept them, so much in a nurtured way that, oh, my son, my daughter. So hardly they are exposed to the actual market. So there are role comes in that we have to explain them. It is not just sending student to XYZ university or JCUB. It's not target oriented business. It is someone's career. We have to touch. You have to get connected to the student emotionally. Otherwise, I think that my job is incomplete if I cannot connect with the student. And when you get connected, all these things comes in that you have to explain the student that, look, work integrated learning is a very important component. You may feel it that it's not paid, it is unpaid, so I should not start up. But though it is unpaid, but you will get paid at later stage throughout the life. Okay. After completion of graduation, Shrikant, tell me how many people are going to get instant opportunity to work in XYZ company? Okay, they won't get. If they won't get a chance, where they will learn? They won't learn. Here we are learning. Here we are
That's
going to
true.
university to absorb the information, to get as much as we can. So
That's
absorbing
true.
component is there, which we need to make them soak that, look, this is very important, though it is unpaid, but please work for 10 weeks. It will add additional value to your CV. I think it is very important.
Right.
And I have a past student, Shrikant, who has completed his Masters of Hospitality Management, from JCUB. And he is doing, extremely well. He was a part of WIL. I still remember.
Right.
And he is
That's
in
good.
Brisbane. I think
That's positive.
he has moved in. Yeah, that's a positive. He is in Gold Coast.
Excellent. Excellent. And
So
one
this
of
is,
the things which Ian also mentioned last show was hospitality is one sector. And again, this is for all the guests in the show as well as the viewers, that
yeah.
hospitality seems to be that one sector, one industry which has been, not so badly affected in the COVID-19 situation. A lot of our students are still doing internship. They have actually completed the
Yeah.
internship during the lockdown, which is, of course, great news.
Yeah.
Lily, what's your rating? And again, be honest, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your rating of the work integrated learning? And just
10
assume
out,
that Eszter is not here on the show at the moment.
10 out of 10, because I am the
10 out of
one of the,
10.
10 out of 10. Yes, it is. It is. If we are not, if we are not explaining the student, if student is not understanding what work integrated learning is, that means counselor needs to reassess ourselves that why student is not motivated for this. So important subject, such a valuable component. How can the student miss on it, Shrikant? We cannot.
That's right.
We
Excellent. So
need.
that's a thumbs up, Lily. That's a big thumbs up. Eszter, well done. This is, of course, a quick. We don't have cheerleaders here, but a big round of applause for you on that. Great job.
Thank you.
Well, it's very nice to meet you, Lily, and I love your spirit. I'm glad that I've met someone who enjoys and loves and feels so passionate about work integrated learning as I do.
Yeah.
So thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you virtually.
I have
Awesome.
one question, if you don't mind, if you have time,
Yes,
can
yes,
I
please. We
ask
are just
this?
moving to the question. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Eszter, can you please let me know, the key features of work program which makes JCUB's courses unique compared to other Australian institute? How can, as a counselor, we can just give a key features, 2 or 3 key features.
Yeah. So if we talk
Thank you.
only about the work integrated learning, and that wouldn't be fair because there's a lot more that makes
Yeah.
JCUB, I guess, a very attractive educational destination to anyone, not
Yeah.
just from students from India, but to any international students. Within the work integrated learning arena, I would say it's the personal attention that they get from me personally. And, I work very close to a pool of lecturers who are working with students on the same kind of purpose of, yes, let's drill down and make you more employable, and I'm going to help you in that, and I'm going to bring all these 21st century projects into the classroom so we can dissect it and learn together. So we do have a lot of those kind of lecturers who are on board with this. But when it comes to the additional support,
Yeah.
such as developing soft skills, getting to know ourselves, trying to figure out
Okay.
what am I good for and what I'm going to do in my life, that comes down to me. And then they get me, a person, a real person behind. And I make absolutely flexible appointments with all of my students, either in person
Okay.
or on the phone or Skype. It doesn't matter. What matters is that they get someone who's there for them. If they want to, if they opt in for the elective part of the work integrated component of their degree, all throughout their degrees. If they want to do only the bare minimum, the mandatory parts, they will get me at certain parts of the degree. So I help them to get started and I help them to accomplish what they need to accomplish by the end of the degree. But the beauty of it, that they can actually do extra if they are ready for it and they want to do
Yeah.
something more. They will get a
Okay.
real person helping that, and that real person has industry contacts. So that real person actually brings in everything that comes from employers and their demand. That's what I have to kind of translate. I'm an interpreter between the employer and the students, because you said that very
Okay.
well. They are very young. You are totally true, absolutely right on that, Lily. That they always ask the question, why do I need to do this at the beginning of my degree? I don't
Yeah.
even know what I want to do, let alone
Yes.
think about employment. Really? And then you go, actually, this is already late that you are thinking
Yeah.
about what you want to do, because you already signed up for a certain major. So let's just figure out what you can do with that major and with your own personality. And that program really offers this kind of personal assistance and focus.
Yeah.
Plus, what other advantages you could tell to your agents and students is that we've got a very good central location, and we've got a really good career services called job links, and they are the ones matching up the students with the employers. They are the matchmakers, and they do have a lot of amazing contacts within like walking distance from the university. So seriously, we are in the middle of the city, so it's very hard
Okay.
to not being able to be wherever you want to be. Really, you just hop on a train, on a bus, or just walk to one of the buildings and you are there where you have to work. So it's really convenient as well. It's again, going back to the personal kind of self-tailored approach that we have here, that everything is here in the little basket. You don't need to be left on your own, and then you are studying in a beautiful big campus, but it's in the middle of the forest, somewhere on the outskirts of the city. You are here in the heart of the city, and you've got all the assistance you need to make your way between your accommodation, the city, and the employer. And then they do look after you when you need us to, and we are going to be preparing you for your interview, preparing you for how to write your resume. We are going to be preparing you for the dress code, for the Australian work ethic and work environment. So you will get all of these extra help that you would need to pay for if you wanted to go and ask for these services, but it's all offered for you for free on the campus, on our campus. So hopefully it makes life much easier. And
Okay.
the lecturers are very approachable too. So when it comes to,
Awesome.
as I earlier said, that there was this little example of students setting up their business. Yes, we do have a formal group, a kind of a business hub or a hatchery, where we are going to be
Okay.
helping students building their business, or kind of develop the business ideas, but we do that as an informal practice as well. So whenever students need to go and ask for advice, the lecturers are very approachable, and also they have very much they have a lot of practical experience, and they are very much on the side of a business consultant, if you like. So they can act as one. Some of our lecturers are really experienced, and they have their own business on the side, or they have got decades of corporate experience. And it's a big value, because they are not just researchers and someone who's passing on the knowledge to a student, but they are someone who's actually walking the talk, and they are going to grab the hand of the student and go and get things done with the students. So that is a big advantage, I would say, too, when it comes to work-related advantages. But there are so many more. I'm pretty sure Shrikant can say more about that.
Yeah, we'll need to book 24 hours meeting room really for that. There's
Yes.
so many things we can talk about JCUB. But on that very note, what I'm going to do is, mindful of time, I'm just going to get quickly all the guests on the screen for a few seconds. If there are any more questions, then our guests could ask those questions. But a very quick announcement. I just got an email from Queensland government a short while ago, and they're actually running a global webinar series starting from the 24th of June. And these are very educational webinars, of course. So I'm going to try and put the link in the description where you'll see this video. But this is just to let you know, fantastic initiatives taken by Queensland government. And I'll be moving on to our guest in a few seconds from now. So I'm going to get everyone on screen right now. Hopefully I can. Yes, thank you for being backstage. And yes, we've got everyone, have we? I can't really see our guest from Myanmar. I guess there's internet connection issues. But everyone, thank you very much, of course, for attending the show and being patient backstage. Time for questions. Do you have any questions which were unanswered? Of course, Eszter is here to address those questions still. Probably move country by country. Bhutan, Searing, any questions?
Yes, I just got a notice from our ministry, and then I thought maybe it's not really related to work integrated learning, but it's definitely about the recruitment. On the social media pages, we actually see that the Australian governments are now coming up with a new proposal, like they will allow the students to come to Australia, where the institute or the university will bear the cost for the quarantine for 14 days. So I was just wondering what's the plan of JCUB, like will you be accepting students as well?
Well, good question. At the moment, we haven't really finalized anything, because I believe it's a regional decision. So it's if you're talking about something that has come out this morning, then I haven't seen that. But yes, we will review, and if there's any cost involved in quarantine, then we will, as we will do our best to try and either reduce that for the students or completely take care of it, depending on this situation. But yes, we'll update you on that as we progress.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have some students who already got the visas and stuck here in Bhutan. They're supposed to come and get started in July.
Oh, okay.
I think I have around 4 students who are stuck
Right.
here with the
Okay,
visa
so
in
I'll
hand.
I'll find out with Vipin. I'm sure Vipin's got some thinking done around that, and I'll provide him instructions if there's anything we need to do from our end. But thank you for that. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Fola from Africa, any questions on how we've been going?
I think most of my questions have been answered, but I just needed a clarification. I know you have job links, which links the students with job opportunities. Is that correct? And then this work, the work related program, the work learning program you were talking about, that has to do with part of the course they're studying at university. Is it possible for them to do it every year? Let's say for an undergraduate program, or is it just a component? Can they take extra hours? Because some people may want to enjoy and get the opportunity to do more.
Oh, exactly. You are on the money, Fola. Totally. You actually responded to the question. Thank you so much for that. So I think it's a very good and valid question, because people often get confused with the Leading to Work program and the job links career services. Like, what's the difference? So if I have a minute or two, I would love to clarify that. Is that okay if she can't? Yeah, so job links is our career services. So they are the matchmakers. They are matching the employers with the students for placements, for internships, for volunteering, for anything work integrated learning related job activity. So the actual matching. They do run workshops as well to prepare students for this, such as mock interview, resume writing, responding to selection criteria, and all of these practical things that students would need to do, if they need to do, before going for the interviews to go for the placement or internship opportunities. Now, the Leading to Work program is actually, if I want to put it formally, it's an academic program. So it is trying to help students increase their employability, their chances to get a position and be more confident upon graduation. And this actually comes from the very beginning and goes until the end. So as you asked, yes, there is a lot that the students can do in this program. And it starts at the start of the degree and finish it at the finish of the degree. So if I wanted to put it in a very friendly context, I would say that it's a response. It's a response to the employer's demand that they wanted students who have more human or soft skills or personal transferable skills, because they were happy with all these technical skills that the students studied in the university. They got their grades, they got their degree, fine. But they were lacking certain skills that are very important in the workplace, especially in Australia, but anywhere else they go, it's going to be increasingly important. So in order to make students more confident, increase their chances of landing in a good job, and also to have an accomplishment at the end of the degree, which is a full career portfolio that they have to build from the start until the end of their degree, we developed this Leading to Work program. And it's essentially like a friend, you know, it accompanies students from the start to the end of their degree, and it has two components. One is a mandatory component. So in that, every single Bachelor of Business students needs to complete certain online modules, and they are all related to employability skills such as communication, team working, initiative and enterprising skills, organizing skills, planning, prioritization, which are really important for different companies and also for our students too, just to name a few. So we are going to be developing these skills throughout the degree, but the students are empowered to take their own initiative in this. So they get the access, and then I show them how to get access and how to use this suite. And then they are going to be using that all throughout their degree. And by the end, they compile all the bits of evidence of their accomplishments academically as well as work-related accomplishments, and we are going to be compiling a career portfolio together. The other component is elective. So this is for those students who Amrit said very well, that, you know, there are a lot of students who might take on good opportunities because they have the initiative and they want to do it. Other students might not feel that the drive, you know, they don't want to do much more, so they don't need to, but you've got the chance to opt in for the elective Leading to Work program, which has a lot of different additional tasks included. And again, it goes from the beginning till the end of the degree. And these are initiatives like taking part in the big interview project, or go out and find an industry mentor and then shadow that mentor all throughout the degree, and go out and sign up to all these different professional associations, and depending on what discipline the student is studying in, we've got a lot of different bodies, a lot of different associations, and we encourage students to be part of these associations so they can interact with fellow practitioners and also find mentors. They all need a hero, they need a role model, and then they can easily find it in these circles, and then we try to kind of match students with these heroes. And we try to encourage them to go for volunteering, because getting certificates and showing that they are happy to work from the bottom of their hearts and not just for money is a beautiful thing to put in the resume. So we are doing a lot of different activities throughout the degree that the students essentially have 100% control over. We don't push them to do anything if they don't want to, but we give them the opportunity. So it is there on a silver platter. If you want to take it, just do it and indulge in it, enjoy it, make the most of it. But if you don't want to, we accept that too. You are the manager of your own life and your career. We're going to be here every step of the way. We'll be helping you if you want to, but we don't force ourselves upon them. So it's not like hand holding and spoon feeding. No, we want completely 100% responsible people for the future. So that's the difference.
Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for that. Was a great question.
Awesome. Over to you, Amrit in Nepal. Any questions?
Yeah, I think I got almost all questions answered right now, because generally whenever we're talking about work integrated learning, IT students and hospitality students get that idea quickly. But whenever we talk about that to management students, and then they tend to ask lots of questions. So how is that, and why is that? So I think Eszter just answered all those queries. So that's it.
Excellent.
Thank you, Amrit. Just a little note on that, because I love what you said about management students. There's this funny rumor around this, that just because there's a management word in the degree title, students think that if they complete the degree, they become managers. And then you go, hang on a minute. You just have to walk at that ladder. You can't just land yourself in a management positions right after graduation.
That's true, yeah.
There's a very big point that we, I think, need to kind of manage students' expectations on that, because they aim really high, hey? So first of all, we say that, okay, be the manager of your studies for now, be the manager of your own professional identity development, because that's a very big project. And then this is the time to do that. You just got out of high school, you figured out who you are, and it's time now to start to build up on who you are as a professional, and that takes a lot of time and a lot of reflection, being clear with yourself. So I think it's enough to be a manager of your own life for now, and then later on, once you graduated and you experience life and you experience what it takes to work for an organization or work for yourself, then you can start to aspire to become a manager.
Yeah, true, absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being on the show today. This was the second episode. We've got many coming through. The next most probably is going to be with Study Queensland. And of course, we'll keep sending you the updates from the virtual coffee show. But once again, thank you. I know it's been going on for 1 hour, 25 minutes now. And, you've been very patient and asking all relevant questions, which is very, very pleasing. So Eszter, thank you for your time. Amrit, thank you very much. Fola, Searing, Lily, if you can hear me in the background. And fortunately, we lost a man from Myanmar, but we'll supply the recording to all of you later, so you can have a quick view anyway. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
It's a pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you very
so much. You have a beautiful night, people, wherever you are.
Thank you.